December 1992, Las Vegas, Nevada, the city of neon dreams, where fortunes are made and lost at the turn of a card or the roll of a dice. Inside Binion's horseshoe, a man sits at a high-stakes poker table, calm and collected, staring down his opponent. His name? Anargyros Karaborniotis, but the gambling world knows him as Archie Karas. Archie wasn't your average gambler. He was about to embark on the greatest gambling streak the world had ever seen, a run that would turn $50 into $40 million. His name would become legendary, whispered in casino halls and poker rooms for years to come. But what the casinos give, they also take away. Over the course of just 3 weeks, Archie Karas would lose everything. This is the story of how he did it, how he lost it, and how he was eventually caught cheating, banned from casinos, and left with nothing. Archie Karas was born in 1950 in Greece, a country rich in history, but poor in opportunities for a young man with a hunger for more. Growing up in Cephalonia, his early life was filled with hardship. His father, a construction worker, struggled to provide for the family, and young Archie often found himself with an empty stomach and a restless mind. By the time he was a teenager, Archie had already developed a knack for gambling. He would play marbles and dice with his friends, winning small amounts of money, but the thrill of the win was something that would stick with him for life. At just 17, Archie made the bold decision to leave Greece, boarding a ship for the United States, with nothing but ambition and a willingness to take risks. He eventually landed in Los Angeles, where he found work as a waiter, but it wasn't long before he discovered pool halls and poker tables, places where his real talent could shine. Archie was more than just a gambler. He was a shark. He had an uncanny ability to read his opponents, bluff his way out of bad hands, and capitalize on the smallest mistakes. He started playing low-stakes poker, but as he honed his skills and built his bankroll, he moved up to higher stakes, eventually rubbing shoulders with the best players in the world. By the late 1980s, Archie had already won and lost several fortunes, but nothing could prepare him for what would come next. By the early 1990s, Archie had been through more ups and downs than most professional gamblers see in a lifetime. But his most legendary moment came in December 1992, when he arrived in Las Vegas with nothing but $50 in his pocket and a fire in his eyes. He walked into a pool hall, borrowed $10,000 from a friend, and started playing high-stakes 9-ball against some of the best players in town. Within hours, that $10,000 had turned into $30,000. With his confidence soaring, he walked into a poker room at Binion's Horseshoe and sat down at a high-stakes table. He never looked back. Archie took on some of the biggest poker legends of the time, including Stu Ungar, Chip Reese, and Johnny Moss. He played fearless, aggressive, and relentless poker, winning game after game, crushing every opponent who dared to sit across from him. In a matter of months, Archie had amassed $7 million, but he wasn't done yet. With his confidence at an all-time high, he decided to take things up a notch. He moved on to craps and baccarat, betting millions per hand, pushing the limits of what Las Vegas had ever seen. By mid-1995, Archie Karas was sitting on $40 million, making him one of the most successful gamblers in history. But what goes up must come down. And for Archie, the fall was swift and brutal. For 3 years, Archie Karas was unstoppable. But Las Vegas has a way of humbling even the greatest gamblers. It started with a single losing session at craps. Archie, who had previously won millions in a night, now found himself on a cold streak. He shrugged it off and kept playing. The losses mounted. He moved to baccarat, hoping to turn things around. The cards were brutal. Millions vanished. Desperate to regain his fortune, he returned to poker, but something had changed. His legendary confidence was now clouded by desperation. The players he once dominated now saw cracks in his armor. He started losing big. In just 3 weeks, Archie Karas had lost every single dollar of the $40 million fortune he had built. He had gone from legend to cautionary tale, his name now whispered in poker rooms as a warning of what happens when greed, arrogance, and sheer bad luck collide. But this wasn't the end of Archie Karas' story, because years later, he would make headlines again. This time, not as a high-stakes gambler, but as a cheater. Archie wasn't one to walk away from gambling. Even after losing everything, he refused to accept defeat. To him, gambling wasn't just about money. It was his identity, his way of life. He had defied the odds before, turning nothing into millions, and he believed he could do it again. But the world around him had changed. His legendary run had made him a marked man in casinos across Las Vegas. Once he was welcomed like royalty, dealers, pit bosses, and fellow gamblers watching in awe as he risked more in a single hand than most people made in a year. Now, he was treated with suspicion. Some casinos outright banned him, unwilling to take the risk that his luck might return. Others allowed him to play but watched him closely, enforcing stricter limits on his bets. The VIP treatment was gone, replaced by cold stares and whispers behind his back. His losses continued to mount. Every attempt to rebuild his fortune ended in crushing defeat. It was as if fate had turned against him, denying him the second chance he so desperately sought. His reputation, once untouchable, had been reduced to a cautionary tale, proof that no streak lasts forever. Despite it all, Archie refused to quit. He tried different games, different strategies, anything to turn the tide. He traveled to other cities, other casinos, searching for a place where he could start fresh. But the gambling world is small, and his past followed him wherever he went. His name, once synonymous with invincibility, was now a shadow that loomed over him, a reminder of what he had lost. As the months passed, his resources dwindled. The lavish lifestyle was gone. No more five-star suites, no more Rolls Royces. He was back to grinding, playing smaller stakes, chasing the feeling that had once defined him. But deep down, he knew the truth. The run was over. And no matter how hard he tried, he would never be the same gambler he once was. Yet, in Archie's mind, quitting was never an option. The game had given him everything, and it had taken everything away. And as long as he had a single chip left, he would keep playing, because that's what gamblers do. By 2013, Archie Karas had fallen from the heights of his legendary streak into a deep, tragic decline. The man who had once commanded respect at the highest tables in the world, whose name echoed in the halls of Las Vegas casinos as a symbol of unrelenting luck, was now struggling just to stay afloat. Desperation had set in, and in a bid to turn the tide, he made a fateful decision: to cheat. It wasn't just the financial ruin that drove him to this point. It was the crushing sense of pride, the need to prove to himself, and perhaps to the world, that he was still the gambler he once was. For years, he had defied the odds. But now, with the casinos wary of him and his once invincible luck completely evaporated, Archie believed he had no other choice but to bend the rules in his favor. If you're enjoying the story so far and would like to support the channel, visit dudedivision.com and use code Chronicles for 15% off your first order. Now let's get back to the story. In San Diego, at a relatively quiet blackjack table, Archie attempted to mark the cards, an underhanded tactic that was nothing more than a desperate attempt to regain control over his fate. It was the first time in his career that he resorted to such methods, and it would prove to be his downfall. The pit bosses had been watching him closely, and it didn't take long for them to catch on. They noticed the subtle, almost imperceptible movements, how he seemed to know what card was coming next. It didn't take long for security to confront him. The evidence was undeniable. Archie was arrested for card marking, a crime that would shatter the remnants of his once stellar reputation. His name, once synonymous with audacity and brilliance, was now associated with deceit. The gambler who had once walked into casinos with an air of invincibility had been reduced to a man clinging to whatever tricks he could find to win. The legal repercussions were swift. Archie was convicted of cheating, a felony that carried heavy consequences. The casinos in Nevada, where his name had once been treated with reverence, issued an official banishment. He was blacklisted, his lifetime of gambling achievements now overshadowed by his disgraceful end. No longer allowed to play in any major casino in Nevada, Archie's career was effectively over. But the fallout wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. The banishment was not just a punishment for breaking the rules, it was a public declaration that his place in the gambling world had been irreversibly lost. The man who had once captured the imagination of millions, who had earned and lost fortunes with seemingly supernatural skill, was now nothing more than a cautionary tale. For Archie, it was a brutal blow to his identity. Gambling had been his life, and now, not only had he lost his fortune, but he had also lost his right to even play the game. The conviction was a scar that would never fade, a reminder that no amount of skill, luck, or audacity could outrun the consequences of crossing a line in the world of high-stakes gambling. In the aftermath of his banishment, Archie disappeared from the public eye. His name faded from the headlines, his story relegated to the annals of gambling history as one of the greatest cautionary tales of all time. The roller coaster ride that had defined his life, his incredible rise and subsequent fall, had come to an end. And though he had once believed he could beat the odds, in the end, the house always wins. Well, that's the end of the story, but let me know in the comments what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more wild stories of financial blunders.